Well, after somewhat of a slow start in the first half, Philadelphia really got things going in the third quarter behind DeAndre Swift and the offensive line. They ran all over the Minnesota Vikings. A little bit of drama, though. A.J. Brown seemingly frustrated with the offense. Do you blame Jalen Hurts? Do you blame Brian Johnson? How do you fix that current situation? And Sean Desai looked much better defensively than he did last week. I'm Thomas Mott. This is the Thomas Mott Show. What's up, guys? Thomas Mott here. Welcome to the Thomas Mott Show on a Victory Friday. Thumbs up for Philadelphia being 2-0 and doing a lot of good things last night. Now, it wasn't perfect. We're going to get into all of that, but I want to first start with the A.J. Brown drama that's kind of taken over social media a little bit based on what we saw on the sideline last night when Amazon Prime showcased Jalen Hurts, Devonta Smith, Brian Johnson, Sirianni came over, all talking to A.J. Brown, who was visibly frustrated with his lack of targets early on in this football game. Now, let's be honest. A.J. Brown has every right to be upset. That first half play calling was not that great in terms of trying to get him the football. Sure, Devonta Smith had a really nice game, and they targeted him early and often, but it feels like Brian Johnson needs to emphasize and make sure it's a point to get the ball to A.J. Brown as much as possible. Now, I don't think it's going to be high drama between A.J. Brown and Jalen Hurts going forward because they are best friends, but he clearly was upset. He didn't even show up for his post-game press conference when he was in the locker room scrum like the rest of the players. Thankfully, Devonta Smith did, and he had a really good response to the A.J. Brown drama.
That's what's going
man,
on.
He gonna be all right, man. You know, that's part of being a competitor, man. You always want to be feel like you're part of the team, helping the team and things like that, man. You know, anytime something like that going on, it's not nothing, bad. He's not bashing nobody, man. He just, wants to feel part of the team, wants to, help us. I mean, at the end of the day, you grind with these guys all throughout the week. So when it's time to go out there on Sunday, Monday, Thursday, whatever it is, man, you just want to, be battling with your guys.
Love that leadership from Devonta Smith. He says, hey, I get that he's upset, right? Everyone wants the football, but he's an adult. He's going to be fine. Don't even worry about it. I think Smitty handled that very well. But where are you guys at on A.J. Brown? Is it simply the play calling with Brian Johnson, as we will talk about? Is it Jalen Hurts not even seeing the football field as good as you would like? Is it something else? Let me know down below in the comments section. Now, Nick Sirianni is not the offensive coordinator, but he is the offensive-minded head coach, so he gets a little bit of blame for not trying to get the football as much or as often to A.J. Brown. He was asked about it in the post-game press conference. Here's what he said.
Yeah, I don't know. I didn't see what was going on with that. We're just trying to manage the game.
You were the TV show that you kind of interjected there.
Okay.
What did you have to say to AJ and Jalen? I guess heat of the moment.
The conversations we have on the field are going to be private, and the conversations we have in our locker room are going to be private. Y'all don't need to know what was going on right there.
Now, he kind of tipped his hat a little bit there. He basically tried to deny that anything happened, and then once he realized the media did see what happened on the sideline, he kind of admitted, hey, yeah, that's private, we're not going to talk about it. So clearly there was an altercation. If you're trying to say there really wasn't a big altercation, that's just not true. There was a serious altercation there on the sideline. Hopefully they're going to make up and go ahead and get this football team back on track and get away from drama on the sideline and more on the great things that happened on the football field. Now, we can't admit two things. Brian Johnson's play calling has not been great through the first two games. It just doesn't seem as consistent, doesn't seem to be as balanced. It took them, till the second half to really start giving the football and running it consistently to DeAndre Swift. They always try to get away from it, and the spreading of the football to both Dallas Goedert and A.J. Brown has not been there. But I also tip a little bit of the blame to Jalen Hurts. Hurts has not been the 2022 MVP self. And while, again, it's still early, new coordinators, he's getting hit a lot more when he drops back to pass. Jalen Hurts has got to be better, and when you get to the better football teams you're going to be facing later on down the line, like thinking about the Dolphins defense, obviously the Cowboys defense, and some of these other really good teams like the 49ers, Hurts is going to have to step up his game. I fully expect him to, but so far, everyone in Philadelphia can admit he's not been his best. Now, I hope Brian Johnson can start to slowly figure things out here, but he needs to speed up his whole process because I thought the week 1 to week 2 difference was going to be dramatic in terms of the play calling. It was the exact opposite. It was very vanilla and bland early, and then finally, it seemingly Nick Sirianni or Jalen Hurts or somebody said, hey, let's run behind this best offensive line in the National Football League, and once that started working, then the offense started to kind of show back up. So let's just hope Brian Johnson can figure things out sooner rather than later. Speaking of DeAndre Swift, credit to him to be the first Eagle since 2013 to have over 150 yards rushing in one game. It was the biggest rushing night Philadelphia's had since LaShawn McCoy. He was incredible. He was as advertised. And what's crazy is I've never thought I would see such a dramatic difference between one carry last week to over 23 carries this week and over $150 rushing. He had 133 yards before contact last last night. Credit to the offensive line, who have struggled a little bit in pass protection, as we've talked about a little bit earlier, but the running game really opened up. And even if Jalen Hurts struggles a little bit more, you can win a lot of football games behind a 259-yard rushing performance, all of which was really predicated by DeAndre Swift.
You're not able to watch a lot of it, but what did you think of DeAndre Swift and how he played?
I actually have no idea how many yards he got. I only know one touchdown that he got. 170. Guys, that's a dinner. I had no idea.
Oh, he's amazing, man. He a bad.
If I'm Kenny Gainwell, I had a terrible night last night because there's no way you can insert Gainwell back into the starting running back role going forward. Philadelphia needs to go through DeAndre Swift and then mix in Kenny Gainwell, not the other way around. Can't talk about Sean Desai's defense without looking at injuries first. Philadelphia had more injuries last night. We're waiting on updates of those probably this afternoon. Follow me on Twitter for more. But Quez Watkins left with a hamstring. Maddox got out with some sort of chest or rib injury. Obviously no Bradbury, no Blankenship, no Nakobe Dean. And then you had Gainwell being out and Boston Scott being in concussion protocol. The good news is Philadelphia has 11 days, starting from Thursday until Monday night when they travel to Tampa Bay to take on the Bucs to get healthy. The mini bye cannot come at a better time, and I hope that this defense especially can get healthy because what I saw from Sean Desai, at least last night, was pretty darn good. It was the adjustments of mixing in blitzes last night that I really, really enjoyed. The front four got plenty of pressure, and a lot more pressure than they did against Mac Jones in that four-man front that they ran a lot in week 1, but there were times when they would mix in some pressures, and the linebackers played great suckering up through the holes and basically getting to Kirk Cousins as often as possible. And while Kirk's numbers were pretty padded and Justin Jefferson had a decent night, basically when he was on Darius Slay the entire time, the Eagle defense was a bend but don't break and capitalized on a lot of the fumble opportunities that presented themselves all throughout the first half. Now, do I think Sean Desai was perfect last night? No, there's still some learning gaps there. I think he was better than Brian Johnson, but I definitely think that the linebackers filling in Morrow and Cunningham, and Job at cornerback all played pretty well. And credit to Justin Evans for having multiple fumble recoveries, a forced fumble through 2 games. He's been a very, very impressive signing that most of us, including myself, thought wasn't going to make the roster. But I think the hope with this defensive front is that they're going to continue to get more and more pressure and be more and more dominant. And once the secondary gets healthy with Blankenship back in there and gets back with Avonte, Maddox, and James Bradbury, you can actually have a more daunting defense that can hold people to a lot less points than the 28 they gave up to the Vikings last night. Now, again, there's plenty of stuff to be negative about because Philadelphia, through the first 2 games, have not played to their full potential. If the first game they were 60% of what they could be, and last night they were 75% of what they could be, there's still 25% lacking and 25% that needs to be improved on. The play calling has got to be better on both sides of the football field. Injuries cannot continue to go ahead and pile up. You need to see a much better, more clean performance from Jalen Hurts, and you got to mix in A.J. Brown a little bit more. That way you don't start some sort of Terrell Owens, Donovan McNabb type rift all the way back in 2001, 2002 to where it could be this year in 2023. But let's at least acknowledge that Philadelphia is 2-0, and we talked about the schedule ad nauseum during the offseason and how important it was to jump out to a very, very early and quick start because, of course, the schedule, as you see on your screen right now, is a lot simpler, at least going forward the first couple of games. If you win these games now and clean up some of the messes, you can afford to not only lose some games later on, which they inevitably will against guys like the Dolphins, the Cowboys, the Chiefs, the Bills, the 49ers. There are good teams left on the schedule, but if they can iron out these kinks, they'll win more of those games than lose, and if they have a lead being built in the NFC, they might still be able to go ahead and not only win the NFC East, but secure that number 1 seed despite the schedule being brutal. Now, I'd love to hear your thoughts on the Eagles' win down below in the comments section. If you guys love this sort of stuff, make sure to subscribe and give it a thumbs up. Even though we have 11 days before the next Eagles football game, plenty more content happening over the next couple of days and weeks here, as we are going to basically become your non-stop, one-stop shop for everything regarding both the Philadelphia Eagles and the rest of the National Football League. Don't be too upset going to the weekend. Try and enjoy it. You don't have to stress yourself out during a Sunday. The Birds are 2-0. Root against the Cowboys, root against the rest of the NFC teams, and hopefully Philadelphia can clean even more things up going into Monday night. I'm Thomas Mott. This has been The Thomas Mott Show.